What if I told you the most dangerous man in New Jersey cried in a therapist's office every week? Not metaphorically, literally, sat down on a couch, talked about his mother, and wept. And what if I told you that's exactly why 50 million people couldn't stop watching him? His name was Tony Soprano, and he didn't just change television. He changed what we thought a human being could be. This is not a story about organized crime. This is a story about a man who had everything the world told him to want and woke up every morning feeling completely empty. Tony was born into this life. His father ran the streets. His uncles ran the streets. By the time he was old enough to ask questions, the answers were already decided for him, and he was gifted at it. More gifted than anyone expected. By his 40s, he controlled the most powerful family in New Jersey. The house, the cars, the respect, the money, everything. But something nobody could see was happening underneath all of it. Tony Soprano was collapsing from the inside. Panic attacks, blackouts, waking up on his lawn with no memory of how he got there. The most feared man in the room, terrified of his own mind, and he couldn't tell a single soul. Because in his world, showing weakness meant one thing. So he found a therapist, told her almost everything. And that decision, that one choice, became one of the greatest stories ever told on television. Her name was Dr. Jennifer Melfi, and she had no idea what she was walking into. Every week, Tony Soprano sat across from her and did something nobody in his world ever did. He told the truth. Not all of it, never all of it, but enough. He talked about his mother, a woman who was beautiful on the outside and completely hollow on the inside. A woman who never once made her son feel safe, who used guilt like a weapon and love like a reward. She kept just out of reach. Livia Soprano may be the most terrifying character in the entire show, and she never fired a single shot. Tony talked about his father too. A man he idolized. A man who turned out to be just as broken as everyone else. He talked about the ducks. A family of ducks had been living in his pool. And one morning, they flew away. Tony watched them go and had his first panic attack. Dr. Melfi asked him why the ducks mattered so much. Tony couldn't answer. Not right away. But the audience already knew. The ducks were his family. And somewhere underneath all the power and the money and the control, Tony Soprano was a man who was absolutely terrified of being left alone. That fear drove everything he did. Every decision, every act of violence, every desperate grab for loyalty from people who were only loyal as long as it served them. Tony Soprano wanted to be loved, and he had no idea how to let anyone actually love him. 6 seasons, 86 episodes, and not one of them let you look away. Because the writers of The Sopranos understood something that most television refused to admit. People are not good or bad. They are both at the same time, in the same moment. Tony did things that were unforgivable. He betrayed people who trusted him. He hurt people who loved him. He made choices that cost innocent people everything. And yet every single week you came back because James Gandolfini made you feel like you knew this man. Not the mob boss, the man. The way he ate, The way he laughed. The way he sat in his bathrobe at 2 in the morning, feeding ducks, and looking like the loneliest person alive. Gandolfini brought something to that role that had never been seen on television before. He made a deeply flawed human being feel completely real. 3 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe, the kind of performance that actors study for the rest of their careers. When James Gandolfini passed away in 2013, people who had never met him wept. Because Tony Soprano had felt that real, that present, that alive. The Sopranos did not just change what television looked like. It changed what television was allowed to be. Before Tony Soprano stories needed heroes, after Tony Soprano stories just needed truth. Every show you love that makes you uncomfortable. Every character that makes you question your own values. Every story that refuses to give you an easy answer. All of it traces back to one man sitting on one couch in one therapist's office in New Jersey. And then there was the ending. If you know, you know. Tony sits in a booth at a small diner. His family filters in one by one. A song plays on the jukebox. Everything feels normal. Everything feels warm. But something is off. A man at the counter keeps glancing over. Another man walks through the door. Tony looks up every time the bell rings. The camera cuts between his eyes and the door. Back and forth. Back and forth. His daughter walks in. He looks up. No gunshot. No explanation. No closure. Just nothing. And that was exactly the point. Tony Soprano spent his entire life waiting for the moment it would all end. Looking over his shoulder, checking the door, wondering which meal would be his last. Which handshake would be the one that betrayed him. And it was the most honest ending a show like this could ever have. Because Tony Soprano was never going to get resolution. People like Tony don't get clean endings. They just get more days until they don't. Tony Soprano wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. He was something far more complicated and far more dangerous. He was recognizable. A man driven by fear, pretending to be driven by power. A man who needed love and only knew how to demand respect. A man who looked at the American dream and decided the only way to get it was to take it. And we watched every single step. Subscribe to Villain Lore. New villain every week. Because every story has 2 sides.